It's okay. 1639.
So this right here, if I were to throw it at someone, it would be a semi-automatic assault phone, right? If I were to beat you with this.
1639 is another attempt to take power away from us citizens and give it to the people at the top, okay? The people, the elites at the top, they're the ones that want to have the private security. They don't want us to have the rifle, because I'm here to tell you, when American citizens have a right to carry a rifle, it makes us strong, independent Americans. Because no matter what happens to this military, we as citizens are able to protect this country, whether it's from our own government or from a foreign government. That's something we have to realize, okay? One example I give all the time, if you've heard, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm Japanese. World War II, Chinese military failed to protect their citizens. Japanese military came across the sea. None of the citizens had any guns to protect themselves. The Japanese soldiers went through the land, raped, murdered the women, the children, did whatever the hell they wanted, because the citizens had no way to protect themselves. I'm here to tell you, the reason why Japan never set foot on our country is because there's a rifle behind every blade of grass. Every blade of grass. They would stand no chance. That's why all they can do is bomb us and leave. That's the thing we have to understand. There is going to be one death this year from the rifle, but we're saving millions of lives by owning and carrying the firearm. We do not need to restrict our gun rights anymore. In fact, we got to push back. We got to push back. We already have too many laws on the books. It's already too expensive, too many checks. We don't need more permits, more classes, giving more money to the government to keep us safe. One last thing I want to say before I open up for questions. We have to begin to admit the fact that the government's ran by big corporations, by elitists, and they don't give a damn about any of you guys or me. These elitists that run the government, they don't care about small business. They don't care about your safety. Every single law this government passes, every single regulation, every single tax, because of the loophole, is to protect the uber rich and to keep all of you guys down. Do you guys feel what I'm saying? We have to stop trusting the government. We have to trust ourselves, trust our communities, and trusting the people in this country who are at the bottom, the grassroots. That's the movement that's coming right now from the bottom up. Okay, so we got to take the power away from this government, because the more power we give to the government, this is what I tell Bernie supporters, the more power we give to the government, the more power we give to the uber rich, the more power we give to the big corporations. Yes?
The more that it becomes a police state.
So here's the problem with campaign finance reform. So they limit it to 24 per election, 2,400 for the primary, 24 for the general. Okay. Now, in terms of, you're talking about super PACs, right? The fact that they can raise as much money as they want. Okay. Is that what you're talking about?
So no cost.
Yes. Yes. They do. Right. So here's the thing, though. I don't have a solution to that. Here's the difference. So they limited individual people like me. They limited the influence I can have on an election, because they said I can only donate $5,700 per candidate. But super PACs, who are not connected to whoever's running, they can raise as much money as they want. And I kind of believe they should be able to, because it's free speech. It's like a talk show host who's on there saying, I like Trump or whatever, and they can come in and say, oh, we need to see how much money you make, right?
So this isn't a group of hateful people. Yeah, I know, it's going to say, I'm not.
I agree. I just don't have a solution to that. But yeah, they're winning all the elections.
That's all it says. I fought for the Americans. I can't
It's all Americans. It's all Americans. It doesn't say just white Americans.
I agree. I just have an answer. Any other questions?
What about bringing education of guns back into the school systems like we had in the 40s, 50s,
Charles Lindbergh.
One guy. That's it.
It's quoted Charles Lindbergh. You could pull a fact out of anywhere that you want.
I think it would. I don't know for sure, but I think gun safety is always good, and I think it also helps bring it back to the culture. There's a right way and a wrong way, to handle guns and stuff. And I think law-abiding citizens feeling comfortable with guns is really big. Hey, you guys want to convert a liberal, an anti-gun liberal, in 5 minutes? We have a 100% accuracy rate on this. Take them to the gun range and let them fire off a rifle if you're honest. You'll convert them. I've heard it a million times from different people. Any other questions? Yes.
When you're
Oh, objecting to increase, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Legislation. Are you objecting to a waiting period?
I do object to that.
Right.
Because I don't see,
And
I
the
don't,
problem with the waiting period, given the escalation of mental health issues in the country, is what? What is the issue with the waiting period?
because what is it going to solve? So,
Mental health issue is not going to go away in 7
yeah,
days.
it's still going to be,
But a therapist can call back after you
I'd
leave a
like to
message
field
into
that
an
question.
appointment.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind.
They're not going to call for
The
it.
problem with waiting period is
speak
that
up.
people buy firearms primarily, at least in my experience, I know this is why I did it, people buy firearms for personal defense. And in that 10-day period, especially if somebody is in a vulnerable position, like if they've received threats or
Like a
something.
woman.
Yeah, like if they've received threats or something like that, then
Ex-boyfriend,
stalker. They need to be armed relatively quickly because that 10-day waiting period, that's a 10-day window that they're vulnerable. And if a stalker or something like that is aware of that law, if they know about that 10-day period of vulnerability, then that's a window of opportunity that they can use to attack somebody who's relatively innocent.
Okay, so if that's the issue, then what would be the objection to having a national data bank for people to be able to see who it is that maybe should not have a firearm, such as the people who
that's against the
committed
law.
Who decides who goes in that
Let her
database?
finish.
You
Seriously?
can't have, number one, we don't want the government, we don't want the government to know, right, who has guns. You don't want that. You understand, the government's not here to protect us. You don't want them to have more information, more of our private information. That's just not right. They already know how much money you make, which is ridiculous, right? So my point is, we don't want to get more information to the government, but also other people have no right to know if you have a gun or not.
So how do you then, if we're not going to have certain kinds of regulations, prevent people with significant mental health issues from getting something that is currently legal, like an AR-15, to be able to create mass...
Let me clear this up for you. Number one, if your focus is on the AR-15, that's not the problem. That's the rifles in general kill 300 people per year. That's not a problem. It's sad. It's sad, 300, but you're talking about other things. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people that die because of this, because of that. 300 people from a rifle, it's the safest gun you can own, right?
So let me understand you correctly. You are saying that we should, as general citizens, have the right to have a firearm that can kill people indiscriminately very
Like a car.
quickly
Like a car, yeah.
because we need that. Why?
For self-defense, not only for your family, but it's a deterrent from our own government and other countries abroad. That's the main thing. It's the biggest deterrent
Okay, so
that we
you're
have.
saying that we
it
need
stops
to
genocide.
be able to arm ourselves against our current government. Is that
No,
what I'm
it's
hearing you
it's
say?
a deterrent from genocide and other acts of evil in this world that's happened all over this world over and over again. Us having rifles is what keeps it at bay. Do you understand that? That's what keeps the Stalins out of office, the Hitlers out of office. It's the rifle. That's why they're going after the rifle. Why are they going after the safest gun that you can own? It's the safest gun statistically speaking. The most dangerous gun is a handgun. That's the gun that's killing everybody, and that's killing all the black people too. The Mexicans, killing all the minorities. No one cares. No one cares. The rifle kills white people. Now all the white people are up in arms about it.
The other problem here is the reason why, to answer your question a little bit more, on why you need to arm yourself, not only for your government, but for the criminals that doesn't follow the laws that law-abiding citizens like you and me follow. They don't give a damn about the law.
They don't.
You make a law to ban the AR-15, they'll still get guns. They'll still get an AR-15. There's a way to get it. So that's the reason why it's important to stop making laws against law-abiding citizens, because it's only hurting you and me, the law-abiding ones, and not the criminal that doesn't give a damn about the law.
Like Mexico.
That's the reason why.
You also need to remember that our forefathers put it into the Constitution, and it's not just for the current government, it's for any government. At any time that we the people can stand up and face tyranny and bring it back down. We, as the people, have the right to take down our own government if we feel the need, and the desire to prevent tyranny.
Well, at the time that was written, we the people did not include all the people.
The gun does not kill people, it's the people that kill the people. So
Amen, brother.
we cannot blame the gun on the crime, it's the person behind the gun.
That's right. Whether it be a knife or what. Yeah.
Amen.
I just want to make a comment. I'm from Northwest Digital News. This issue with gun ownership and Second Amendment is something we talk about regularly on our broadcast, and we have researched a lot of statistics, not just here in the United States, but from around the world. So let me give you just a couple of quick ones. There's a country south of us known as Mexico. When you look at the number of citizens that are in Mexico versus the citizens that are in the United States, 1/6 of the people in Mexico own guns compared to U.S. citizens. So if fewer guns were the answer to less violence, then that would be happening in Mexico. But you are 5 times more likely to be shot by a gun in Mexico than you are in the United States. So that's completely counterintuitive to that argument. Here's the other thing, is that of all the violent crimes that happen with guns in this country, 80% of them happen in our U.S. metro areas, where only 18% of the guns are actually owned legally. Okay, so in 80+% of gun ownership accounts for less than 20% of actual gun crime here in the United States. That's all the suburban and rural areas. And so it's not the number of guns, it's what's going on in people's heads and in inner cities where people are coming from broken homes and whether there are other issues they may be dealing with. Those are the problems, not the guns. Removing guns have never resulted in lower crime statistic anywhere in the world.
No, don't get started.
Don't turn that switch. Don't pull that cord.
Here, he's had the opportunity to be with Patriots and have a conversation with these people and be able to protest. If this was Antifa and Joey was calling, how long do you think he'd be before he got his ass?
Not long.
Let me talk about that real quick. So a lot of people. Let me talk about that. A lot of people, there's this misconception. When we go into Portland, usually violence breaks out because there's no law and order. You can beat someone up in front of the police, you're not going to get arrested. If you get arrested, you'll be released that day, charges will be dropped, okay? So we do have guys that defend themselves, but we believe so much in free speech. This guy literally has been walking in here talking smack, being so disrespectful, but we will never hit him because he's being peaceful, okay? There's going to be no violence here today because there's law and order in this city. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's the thing. We have to begin to put pressure on some of these mayors, like the mayor of Portland. We did the same thing in Berkeley. Free speech exists in Berkeley now because we kept going in there and they got so much pressure. But I just want you guys to know, every single time I walk in the middle of Antifa and the groups on the far left, and I've done it numerous times, the video's out there, I get my ass beat with my hands up. They will beat me to a pulp. They don't really attack him that much, but they'll attack other people. And there's the thing, I believe in peace, I believe in love wholeheartedly, I believe in nonviolent resistance. I believe in what Martin Luther King did, and we're going to continue to do that. What we're going to do in the next few weeks when we go into Portland, you're going to see a different kind of strategy and a technique. Hopefully we can do what we can to get that mayor out of office and get 35,000 signatures.
I have a question.
Yes.
What are you afraid of? Why are you carrying a weapon?
He's carrying a weapon.
Is he carrying a weapon?
Yeah, he's got a knife on him.
Oh, I'm very disappointed in his dishonesty. I'm very dishonest.
You are a liar.
The guys advocating for gun rights are surprised about a knife.
Another thing I like to promote is
Because knives are just as dangerous as guns. Yeah, that's some bullshit.
Actually, more people die of knives than guns.
Hey, how many people would have died in Las Vegas if he was throwing knives? That's a pretty stupid fucking argument, right? That's pretty stupid.
Hey guys, it's me again, the coconut. Okay, let her answer her question.
If guns kill people, mine are all defective.
Guns don't kill people, people kill
See what I'm trying to say here, this is the right reason why we came here. It's this kind of conversation, because I know everybody here is not right-leaning, everybody here is not left-leaning. This is what we need in our country. Because the issue that we're dealing with right now is not just for the left wing, it's not for the right wing. It's for Americans. And that's why we come out here. We need to have this conversation. We need to educate each other in order for us to move forward. Like I said at the colleges we've been to before, have you ever seen a damn plane fly with one wing? It's going to go sideways. It needs both wings to fly.